evening, Patriots, and welcome to the Q Lounge Live. Hi, I'm your host, Shady Groove, and this is the In the Matrix channel, joined tonight by my wonderful co-host at In the Matrix. It is just after 7 p.m. on the West Coast. It is 10 p.m. on the East Coast. It is Friday night, guys. We are putting a nice little cap on another amazing week of winning out there. I hope all of you guys out there are enjoying the show, my friends. This is unprecedented in the history of mankind. We are upending something here that has been embedded in our reality for thousands of years, guys. And this is the really important part to pay attention to. The show that we're seeing in front of us, the president unlocking this map as we move through it. And please, guys, everyone out there, we have a bunch of wonderful mods in the chat tonight. They're going to be dropping you some sauce. They're going to be directing you and helping you, maybe answering some questions. So don't be shy out there. If you're new to Q, don't be shy out there. Don't hesitate to ask some questions. These people can take it. We are here to share all of this unbelievable information with you guys and to bring it to your conversation so you can share it with your family and your family's friends, and we can start to really change the narrative here, guys. And so with that, right up top, I would like to introduce my partner in justice here at the United States Department of Winning at In the Matrix. Sir, how are you this fine, wonderful Friday night?
The United States Department of Winning. I'm doing great, Shady. Man, I love that music out there. Everybody's out there. They're ready for Shady Groove. The crowd is is amazing tonight. We got Ams Dave, Song Babe, United States of Q, who sent me a meme today, by the way. Thank you so much, my brother. It's awesome. I will use it. Tammy Longrear. Hello, Tammy. She was waiting for Shady Groove. Spud Forever is out there. We got Charlotte Beatty out there. Thank you. And we've had intheMatrixxx donated. Oh my gosh, that guy. Island Revealed. Thank you very much. Where we go when we go off paper. I love that guy. You guys are amazing. And these are the most amazing mods on YouTube. Give them a big hand. They've worked really hard this week. And, for 102 shows on Matrix Groove. And what is this, Shady? Probably about the 50th, 60th? I don't even know how many Q lounges, but it was a month ago.
Yeah, I was very ambitious in the beginning. I was doing 2 a week, so we got a bunch under our belts early on, and we've been doing them once a week for a while now. So yeah, I think I'm a little over 100 on these shows, and look at all of the red pill information he's referring. If you guys didn't catch it, we turned 100 Matrix Groove hours this week on Wednesday, and Matrix, our 1,300 hour cabal crushing show is really coming across, and everyone's seeming like they're loving it, and we have spent so much time there focusing on what this guy does for you. Just for a minute to say, this guy brings you the information to Twitter in a way that not very many people are doing, so that you can find in one place all of the info in that current day of what Q is posting, what Anons are saying, and how it's coming together. This is an unprecedented task, and to know and trust that this guy does it and does it right every day is an amazing feat. And if anyone out there doubts that, well, you can tell them where they can stick it, because this guy has done something for Q and the president and this world that is going to be remembered for a long time, and that is trying to wake people up and red pilling and being honest to Q and being honest to the president, guys. So it's my pleasure to have gotten to 100th show on the Matrix Groove Hour. We had some amazing stuff go on this week. We had Ann Vandersteel on Tuesday, we had Liz Crokin on Wednesday, we had Paul Saran on Thursday, and then we had the wonderful, beautiful Colette Bonet out there in the chat. I think I saw her a minute ago. We had her on today. Wow, man. I mean, I just wanted to say right at the top to you, Matrix, really quick, I'm going to put you on the spot here, bud, and tell you that, your work in this movement is unparalleled, and everyone out there that comes to my show and comes to the Matrix Groove Hour tells me so much, and it really gives us a little bit of freedom here on the Q Lounge to not be so focused on the exact Q drops, because we've kind of already covered a bunch of them, but to dig in a little deeper and give us some air here to breathe a little bit with these Anons. So much love, my friend. Thank you so much. Can I say that?
Oh, Shady. Yeah. Wow. Thank you. And I do. Yeah. Thank you so much, Shady, because it's been tough. It's been a long road. We've been doing this for a long time, but there's nothing more than I'd rather be doing right now. And I kind of want to give you guys a tease. I think this weekend, look for it. I'm going to be doing a new thread on something that I might have stumbled across, and you guys are going to like it. I'm going to give you a hint. I'm going to give you a hint. Shady, should I give him a hint?
Give him a hint.
All right. It's a hint. And you guys are going to be like, what? But somebody that is Latin might understand. Ready? Here we go. Tastes like chicken. There's your hint, guys.
Uh-oh.
You're going to see what I'm talking about later, okay? So watch for it. It's going to be a thread that's going to connect some major things, some things that I might have missed, that we Anons might have missed. It's going to be something pretty incredible to think of. And, again, it's a theory. I want you guys to check it out. Get under my thread. It might, spur you guys some thoughts. Let me know what you think, because this when I do a thread, it's living. It's a living thread, and it can be added to. So stay tuned this weekend.
Little tease. I might have a little insight on what you're talking about there, but mum's the word, my friend.
And if you know Latin, tastes like chicken's a pretty good hint. We have Blessed to Teach out there. Blessed to Teach is out there. How you doing, sir? Guys, stay tuned. Shady Groove and intheMatrixxx will be on Blessed to Teach show after Sean Hannity, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central, Monday. Mm-hmm. So we're going to go over there. To that. Hopeful American. These people are stupid. Q. I like it. Okay, so Shady, I want to turn it over to you, because my favorite part of a Friday night is kind of checking out and just sitting back, kicking back like the good old times on the Q Lounge Live, where I get to listen to Shady Groove. I get to be a fan. I get to be the one because you know people were commenting on that music. That when I hear that music, it is like whoa, that's like that music is amazing, and I love it. It gets us in the mood. Then we've got Shady's soothing voice and knowledge. So if you guys want Shady Groove to get going, press 17. And Shady, man, I'm going to just kind of chill. I'm going to interact here with in chat for a little bit. I love you guys, Shady, and what you've been doing for the movement too is amazing. And what is coming, I think, is going to be amazing. Like I don't think we're even going to believe what happens. So stay tuned, guys. If we are making history, we are making history. We are making history, guys. All of us together, because the Anons, you, us, we are the news now. Look at 17, Shady.
That it's raining. I was actually just watching that. It looks so far. My stream's running good. I got the chat up. Thank you guys so much for that.
And Song Babe says, when are you going to play some Song Babe songs again? Asking for a friend.
Oh, I don't know who's the friend.
I don't know who that Song Babe is. Hey, Song Babe, did you email me that song? Maybe I'll play that sometime next week. Remember that song that you emailed me? That was you, right?
Yeah, I think it was her.
Yeah. Yeah, so maybe I'll play that if you want us to. And you know, again, we want to encourage everybody to get creative. You guys want to do memes, you guys want to do videos. Dexter Greener's out there. Dexter is an amazing video producer as well. Remember, Roseanne was watching Dexter's video, so make sure you click on Dexter and get over there and subscribe to Dexter. Amazing. So guys, you know, let's get the memes out. Let's get it out. There's new eyes coming soon, guys.
A lot of new eyes, and that is a big part of this. You know, that's a big part of the conversation. We're going to have a little bit of overarching things going on here tonight, but I started out there giving a lot of kudos to Matrix and for what he's bringing to this movement and the voice that he's brought to this movement, which I am not going to stop there. I'm going to also take a minute and pause here, and I'm going to speak about other great Anons that are out there that have given so much of their time, and some of them are here in the chat with us, and some of them will maybe listen to the show. Some of them we work with quite often behind the scenes who are really doing what it takes, and whenever they started to see Q's information and they started to see Q's message, and they saw the president really stepping up to the plate and really speaking up for us, then they stepped up. And I'm talking about some amazing Anons out there that are going to be witnessed to the future to see these new people. They are great stewards of the information, is what I mean by that. They are people that understand what Q is telling us, and they're people that understand what our wealth really means, and the people that understand what the target of this whole operation is. All of the fuzz and the interruption and the static in the channel. All of that it's behind them. They've stepped above it, and they've allowed their minds to come out of it, and they've gotten above, and they see clearly that America is the prize here. We have to save it. It is perilously under attack, and no one was seeing it because the silent majority was uninformed, and Q has been paramount in bringing that different conversation, so the majority of the asleep people can understand what the real conversation is. And the president is having a real conversation, guys. He is having a real conversation. If you're watching him at these rallies and you're paying attention to what he is saying, he is talking to you. And I know I've said it multiple times on the Q Lounge, but he is speaking to you. I'm not sure, Anons, lovely patriots, Americans, worldwide freedom thinkers out there, you guys, I'm not sure that we would be in this situation without Twitter and without his ability to overstep the media, and for whatever reason they're not able to silence him, they're not able to take it down, they're not able to censor him. Imagine all other people in any position of government. As soon as you bring up subjects and issues, you are censored, you are silenced. The Q movement showed us that whistleblower reports for people to tell on government corruption were the government corruptors, making sure that nobody got through the net. So all of you great Anons out there, and this goes out worldwide to every nation on the earth, thank you. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you for taking the time that you probably would have normally spent making something else for your family, or going and taking on more work, but instead you stayed and you fought and you got on Twitter and you couldn't resist and you couldn't let it go. I know how many of you there are out there. I know how many there are out there. I've been here. I've been working on this since Q started to drop. I've been on this wall for 3 decades. I'm not kidding about that. I know it sounds, but I'm an old guy, and this is, this is something really near and dear to my heart. Whenever I saw those towers fall on 9/11, and I saw what happened in Waco, Texas, and I saw what happened in Ruby Ridge, and I saw what happened in Oklahoma City, that was the different level. That was the next level of corruption. Prior to that, the level of corruption was in a different format. And they changed the format, guys. They changed the format, and they started turning Americans against one another, and they started making you somehow think that your brother was out to get you. And then the 9/11 attacks occurred, and the conversation exploded into this unbelievable division, and saying that we're divided, and this mantra that we're divided, and this mantra that the diversity is our strength. The diversity is not our strength. The diversity is an aspect of our existence, and it is the fabric of America. Absolutely, the diversity of people and culture and thought, and all of us come to this conversation of freedom. Absolutely. But the trick, the beauty, the perfection that we're attempting to attain, which would be called America, in my opinion, is unity. And I'm not sure that there has ever been a messenger, ever, maybe other than a couple select ones, but where we go one, we go all, is a message that's being brought to you by my favorite Anon, Q. And all of you guys out there, and I'm taking up a little bit of time here at the top of the show for this, because I have to make sure that you guys know that. And I have to make sure that everybody out there knows that in this moment in time, right here, hot August, we're moving into hot August, that you patriots who are here hear my voice, or you patriots that hear my voice later on in this show, know who is here on this wall, so that you can see that we had your back. We, remember, less than 3% of the people in America at the beginning of the revolution picked up a musket and went out there and stood up to the British. There was a huge majority in America who did not want to fight the British, and who were just happy and cozy right where they were. And they decided to stay there. So you, to me, represent that. To me and Matrix, I know he feels the same way, and I feel like I'm speaking for both of us. But you represent that to us. We are here because of that. And I'm not sure that there's anything else that would have motivated me like this. And I try to reflect, and I try to be honest with myself when I can be honest with you guys. But the truth is that it's really that strong. This message, this time, this moment, us together, talking about unbelievable things, like things that 20 years ago I would have never imagined could be possible to insert into the conversation. And that goes down to simple things, not this complicated stuff like illegal immigration. They started conflating this idea of illegal immigration in the early 90s. Whenever I was in school, we understand the difference between someone who was immigrating here and someone who had cheated and came here illegally, and how that the person who cheated and came here illegally shouldn't be able to participate in the same systems, because they would be taking advantage of the people who were actually paying into the systems. That was the normal form of thought. And now that thought has been diluted on such a massive scale, everyone. I mean, on a massive scale, to hypnotize a generation of people into not understanding that the president is saying there is a problem with illegal immigration. You are not allowed. If I had an open border and America was the free country that we're espousing to be, who doesn't want to come here? Who doesn't want to come here? You objectively ask yourself the question, okay, who doesn't want to be there? I would rather live in China. I would rather live in in Egypt. I would rather live in where? Antarctica? So the choices are very few. And they've made you think, this is part of the way they've taken your power, everyone. They've made you think you're unimportant, and they've made you think that what America is just nah. It's just nah. And you saw these, asshats standing up there on stages saying, oh, America's never been great. Let me tell you something. There's only one group that thinks America isn't great on planet Earth, and they're easy to spot. And we're chasing them. You are. You guys are chasing them every day. Matrix and I are chasing them every day. 1,300 hours every day. Changing the narrative, attacking them on their ground. We have encroached on their territory. They are on the run. They are in a defensive position as we attack. That's what you're seeing. That's what you're seeing presented up there with Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, all these people that are somehow some sort of moral high ground they're preaching to you. So the reality of that is that simple. You guys have stepped up to the plate, and you guys have said, I've had enough. I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. And that's what we needed. That's what the president needed. That's what General Flynn needed. That's what this movement needed. And we got it. And you guys answered the call. So forever, we're ingrained in time in this moment to say, hey, you know what? We're not going to forget again. Anons are going to remember this moment. We're going to remember this moment, and we are going to make sure that it is enshrined in time in a way that can never be destroyed or taken away. We're going to spread America. America is not going to be on retreat anymore. America is going to become a beacon of excellence again, which inspires the world to demand excellence from their representatives. It's an up chain. It's not a down chain. Part of the illusion is that it is a down chain. So right off the top, guys, this is how I feel. This is who I am. This is what we are doing. We are winning this war. Matrix, I call it popcorn and cannonballs. I'm super excited every day to work with you and to bring this message and to see these wonderful people who send me messages, who encourage me. They charge me like electricity on a, I could feel a little down, just go read some comments on one of those YouTube videos, my friend. And I'm pretty sure I was speaking for you during most of that.
Thank you, man. It's listening to you talk, something just dawned on me. If they hate America so much, why do they want everybody to come in here? I mean, hello. Why do they want people in our country if they think it sucks so bad, guys?
It really just is simple. It's really pretty simple, isn't
it? And that's what breaking the spell is, and that's what we're doing every day, guys. Breaking the spell of the mind control that had us all engulfed, and there's still more to come, guys. There's still more to be realized. So stay tuned.
That's right.
And be open-minded. And the truth stands on its own. Whether you like to hear it, don't like to hear it, don't like it, it's still the truth. And just remember that going forward. Take your emotions out and let the truth stand on its own.
Kind of doesn't matter, does it?
No.
The truth is the truth.
Right. As much as I wanted my team to win, they cheated. Oh, I lost, right? Okay.
Exactly. So I'm going to start off here tonight. I'm going to jump off of this bridge real quick because we are going to start having some bigger conversations with me and about your systems of nutrition and what it means to eat and how your control mechanism and your hypnosis has more to do with the deep state than maybe a lot of people realize. And right here, I took this graphic and I wanted to show you this tweet because I put this out the other day and it connects in the next one to a Q post that I want to read to you guys. But this one, I don't understand why I always feel so bad. What if clown food is bad for you? What exactly is a food pyramid and where am I on it? And this little graphic right here gives you an idea. Now, to me, this graphic looks a lot like the graphic that we have about Disney and all of the 5 telecom giants that own all of our media. Well, right there looks like the same schematic of all the companies that own everything that you find whenever you go to the grocery store. And this is relevant because of what you are taught whenever we're younger, which is things like, oh, X amount of preservatives are safe. This stuff in your food is safe. Just because you can't understand what that word says on the label doesn't mean you shouldn't eat it. Yes, it's natural, yes, it's fine for you. Where in the world did we, once we go back and we look at all of these studies that were done about all of this food, I'm pretty sure you're going to find that the same individuals doing those studies were the individuals doing the studies about whether or not the vaccines were safe, or whether or not this is safe, or whether or not Monsanto Roundup is safe, or whether or not anything else that they spray on, anything else that you eat is safe. I'm here to tell you something pretty simple. None of it is. None of it's good. None of it's safe, and you shouldn't be eating any of it. If we weren't eating it prior to 1800, we shouldn't be eating it today. Now, some people act like that's an impossibility. I don't think it is. I think there's a lot of things out there that are misinformation, and one of those things that are misinformation is a food pyramid, and what is consistent of that food pyramid, and how much of those things in that food pyramid you should and or should not be eating. And I also think that there's a lot of disinformation on the other side of this equation, which is the health nut side. I'm going to rush out and stop eating any animal products and be a vegan and a vegetarian and never have any protein or never have any meat products. There is a double conversation going on here, and it's trying to keep you as far away from the middle of those two things as humanly possible. I would encourage us start working our ways back to the middle of that. And in the middle of that, I'm talking about things like what you clean your homes with. I'm talking about things like what you use to put in the bath, in the shower, what you use on your faces for makeup, what you use for perfume. If I were to sit here, I could do a whole show on what's in perfume. And this is kind of what I'm talking about on the Q Lounge, is digging deeper into some of this stuff, because the way we get our world back is we start making better decisions in our daily lives. And this is important. Q has this drop that I want to read to you guys here that is really, really strong. Money, power, control. People are simply in the way. Slaves, sheep, pawns. Mass extinction events designed to decrease threat level of population, gun control, wars, top extend deal, election rigging, control. Your voice does not matter. Pharma, classified, water, air, chemicals, pushed for home use, cleaning, cancer, baby on floor, hands in mouth, the start. What does that mean? Baby on floor, hands in mouth, the start. Does that mean that whenever the baby on the floor actually starts to consume chlorine or some chemical that's on the floor, it starts to become immune to the effects of that, and it starts to close down its ability to tune into a natural frequency? It can be manipulated because it has chemicals that are consistent of things that can be manipulated by those in power. Vaccines, not all. Tobacco, opioids. Ultimate win, death plus money. The Fed, Rothschild, conspiracy, conspiracy, conspiracy. UK, Germany, 5 days. Choice is yours, revelations. Enough is enough. North Korea, defuse. Russia testing. New missiles, Russia, new threat, coincidence. They must maintain the threat to retain the power influence. Are you awake, Q? That right there. Maybe it doesn't say a lot in words, but in reality, it says everything you need to know. It really does. It points to what is going on here. When you talk about things like tobacco, for instance, tobacco was something that was used by the Indians in America for thousands and thousands of years. Cultivated, strains, seeds, everything. The Indians didn't have cancer. And so you do just a little bit of research about tobacco and what it really is and what's really going on. You find out the government controls all tobacco. You find out you're not allowed to grow tobacco without a specific type of fertilizer. You find out that fertilizer is actually a byproduct of nuclear radiation. And that being a byproduct of nuclear radiation, then you grow something in it, and then you take that material and you chop it all up and you soak it in vats of stuff that, is 3 pages long of different ingredients, and you lay it out in a pan, you dry it out, and then you chop it up, and then you roll it up in cigarettes, and you send it to somebody to smoke it, and you can't understand why someone smoking tobacco is giving everyone cancer. It's not tobacco that's giving you the cancer. It isn't. Your natural world is not harmful to you in that way. And look at what's been built. And I'm going to make a really kind of simplistic analogy here. And maybe some people might get it, some people might not. But Little House on the Prairie, if you remember the show Little House on the Prairie, there was a guy and he wore a cool hat and he got on a buggy and he rode around and he looked for things to do. In other words, there was nothing to do. Now look at your systems around you today. Look at these buildings that are built that look like universities that they call hospitals. And look at all our sick older generation who 100 years ago were just fine until they took that step into their grave. My great grandmother died at 99 and she had a garden the year she passed away. She worked herself. It was unbelievable. The stamina of this woman. This is a person who had 12 children. So this is the generation that was lost. This is what Make America Great Again means. It means make America excellent again. Make America strive for excellence. Things like toxicity in your environment do the exact opposite, everyone. They make you weaker. They make you less immune. They make you more susceptible to programming. If we can get this conversation inserted into the larger conversation, then we can make headway at such a rate that the deep state's head would spin. And this is a lot of what Matrix and I's vision of bringing information in a free-flowing format where it's Patriot-supported and Patriot-loved content was so that we can say the truth. No matter who funds, no matter who does anything, no one can ever tell me to not say that Monsanto is something you should not be consuming, or that Amazon is a deep state entity that somehow ended up with all of our intelligence information from 20 years ago whenever 15 agencies had it. Now all of a sudden 20 years later we have a company that's supposedly a independent company that provides cloud services for the intelligence agencies that writes articles in the Washington Post against my president who was elected by a huge majority of electoral college votes. And then they stand there and they say the electoral college is wrong. They stand there and say that we should just on the Second Amendment. They stand there and tell me that I'm not allowed to speak to Antifa in the street without deserving to be punched in the head. Wrong, wrong. And the world, and the world's going to see it. The world's going to realize. But I'm telling you right now, there is a large portion of America that is just about tired of it. They're about tired of being called a racist. They're about tired of being attacked by SJW NPCs, and they're not going to stand for it anymore. And there's going to be a level of frustration that bubbles up. And what you're seeing right now, and I want to maybe sidetrack from that just a second to talk about this thing with Comey and everyone overreacting to Comey not being charged. This is an IG report thing, guys. This is all about the optics of everything. Everything is coming into focus, and the optics are to generate that. What I was just talking about, that outrage, but not the faux outrage, not the pretend outrage that the Democrats present about something you don't care about. The real outrage that, yes, if we had people who you could trust who were armed at the schools instead of being gun-free zones, there would be less people that would think that they could shoot them up. It's just kind of common sense. If we had a wall at the border where people couldn't cross through willy-nilly and just drive through with whoever and sex traffic however many kids in a year that you could sexually, we have a wall up there and a port of entry where people could actually properly emigrate. Why does the other side, and when I say the other side, I'm not talking about Democrats. And I don't want you guys to get confused in this conversation. I am not talking about Democrats. I am talking about we the people, Q team, and the president. We're over here. We the people, Q team, and president. Everybody else is over here. The Patriots and the uninformed public are not in that equation. So the globalist agenda, the globalist regime, the Google are over there. Communists, socialists, people that want to take what America has, people that don't think America was great. Simple. Over here, who's standing against him? Q, the president, you, us. We're the two factions. They're not telling the public what's actually going on, everyone. So this conversation is much bigger than we know. And the outrage that you feel, think about that just for a second. The outrage that you feel for James Comey, quote unquote, news stories all across the country, news story. James Comey is not going to be prosecuted. When most people hear that he's not going to be prosecuted, they don't understand how much stuff he's really done. They just see it as, wait, what do you mean he's not going to be? Then they're going to go look at it. Now we're bringing more eyes to it, right? Look how the story brings more eyes to it. This is what's important. This is how we do it. This is how we change our country. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing to see what you guys have been doing out there. And this time and this moment could not be clearer to me. And it really does. It, it explains everything. It explains all the attacks. You know, Matrix and I see everything that's been happening to us, all the people that have come after us because we've been loud and we wanted to be heard and we wanted to be out of echo chambers and we wanted to expand and we want all these people. Okay, what kind of see it as we told you we think it's a badge of honor. We take it as a badge of honor. We're over the target. We take it as a badge of honor. What if we were the bait? What if the great, honorable, warm, loving people of the Q movement who were coming to this conversation, to some degree, were coming to this conversation and being viewed by the people who said the truth and then the people who tried to attack them, and pulling them all out of the weeds, whether it's on the chants, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on YouTube. We've pulled them all out of the weeds, guys. And I think we've got a much clearer view of the Tavistock horizon out there that goes back centuries into the manipulation of a current world that has a huge amount of production with a very small amount of critical thought or philosophy or consideration or, for lack of a better term, paying attention to what's going on in your political world and your economic world only. Take out everything else. Take out social issues even. The political world and your economic world. Your economy is what the Constitution is based on. The economy is what started your country. Tariffs are the reason you have America. That's the reason. And we're going to go into that here in a little bit. I want to jump back real quick because a couple really fun things that happened this week that I can't resist talking about. One, this is your president right here, guys. This week, this is your president tweeting, "We should immediately pass voter ID at voter ID, please, to ensure the safety and sanctity of our voting system. Also, paper ballot as backup and old-fashioned but true. Thank you." And the president retweets the @ this account right here, guys. See this? Where we go, when we go all. A Q account. And this happened when Matrix and I were live on the air the other day. And also within a few minutes of this happening, after we reported that it happened, and this was very interesting, Matrix. I want to talk to you about this real quick. So I think that what Q is like a little bit. So what occurred the other day was a little bit of circular reporting. I don't know if I can paint this picture properly, but Q. So we're on the air and we're talking about stuff. Q makes the drop that is referencing the president making this earlier in the day, and or making this, and then shows us this, and then we go into discussing this, and all of a sudden, within just a few minutes, Q says time travel is fun. And he drops this little gem right here that says, "Do you believe in coincidences?" Right after. Guys, this has an unbelievable story to it, everyone. Here, right away, you see Q team able to communicate in real time and tell the president, can tell you right here what he thinks. And I think he thinks where we go, when we go all.
We had 11 of those posts on our show.
11 posts on the show that day. And so that was a really crazy cool moment for me to see how Q could drop during our show and we cover it in real time. And that information is immediately in the conversation. Immediately transferred, like as fast as it came out. And that is an interesting thing that I want Anons to see, for the importance of other people coming to this voice and the idea that we can bring this conversation. We got to, we don't know what they're going to do to try to stop it. We don't know that they're not going to take Twitter down. We don't know they're not going to take YouTube down. We have really no idea what their plans are. But this was an astounding moment. And The Hill immediately released an article saying, just in, Trump tags QAnon account in calling for voter ID law. This was also in the show. So The Hill had written this story within a few minutes of the president tweeting this and Q dropping this to us. The Hill had written a story, and then we were reporting on it live on the air. That's some Anon circular reporting, Matrix.
Yeah, that was amazing. Go and then right around this time is, if you ask, oh my gosh, why am I spacing out our buddy's name? My gosh, he said, "Hey, go ahead."
Yeah, I can't remember his tag either. It's what is it?
Demos,
Demos.
Demos.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. And he said, "Hey Q, if you're watching, give us a five," and he did that in a $5 tip or a tip or $10, whatever it was. And he put, "Q, if you're listening, give us a five." And then 3.5 minutes later, you get this post.
And then that
I mean,
was this one, right? Oh, I'll pass it. Oh, where is it? It's right here.
yeah, right there. Oh, right. Oh, keep going up now because it's the next one.
There it
Boom.
is. News unlocked. There it is. 5-5. There it is.
Kim
Very next
Dawson,
post.
1717. I love your beautiful mind, Shady. There's been a lot of people here. Pigeonberry's out here. Much love from Juanita Smith. Keep up the good work. Anonymous, USA Anonymous twice. Thank you. Pigeonberry. And also Chris and Ashley's mom. As a private caregiver to 36 states military of all branches, I'm so honored to being part of this awakening. So I just wanted to mention a couple. If we miss you guys,
Thank
we're
you.
so sorry. But
Thank
thank
you
you.
so much. And this is exactly what we this is why we want this is what we want. We want you guys to this conversation, and we have an unbelievable amount of momentum, and like I said at the beginning, there's so much love in this world for not only America but for each of us and for each of you and for this president. It is not we are not in a world where the evil is equal to the good in this world. It is quite different than that, guys. You are way more powerful than the people who act like they control you. It's just that simple. And you can see that the president doing stuff like this is a blessing for our movement. And how many times did he say movement at that rally? I mean, that rally was incredible. I want to really quick just talk about the rally. The president was there, and he said that this movement was unprecedented in history. He actually made a few comments that were kind of cue
Yeah.
booms, and
And
really, go
you
ahead.
know what, too, it reminds me of is the video that got Donald Trump elected. How does it start out? Our movement. I
Exactly.
mean,
And how many times
that
has
is
Q
a,
pointed us right to that?
yeah,
I
exactly.
mean,
Popcorn, says C Pepper.
he's put it. Nice. Yeah, he's put that up so many times, and it's true. It really is like that. If you listen to that speech and what he said in that speech, that is exactly what he has done. He has followed through to every letter of what he said he was going to do. And the deep state can't believe it. They can't believe that he's gotten this far, and they can't believe like they had the 2 days of Democrat debates. Their Matrix. There wasn't a mention of Russia or Mueller. Almost
Um,
no mention.
or the Mueller report. I
Yeah,
know.
two.
That's just insane.
Is it just three
New
years of my
Anon.
life down the toilet? Like,
Yeah, two
yeah,
years and $30 million.
yeah.
New Anon. This is for all the new people who have come here. You are brave. You are strong. And we fight right beside you. Love and prayers. And that's from New Anon. Wow,
Thank you,
that
New
is so
Anna.
very, very generous. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry. But yeah, Shady, they didn't mention the Mueller report. They didn't mention any of that crap that you just what why?
What happened? I mean,
What happened to it?
yeah,
It
yeah.
cost us $30 million, man.
And Adam Schiff came out on TV every day saying that we have evidence. Like I've seen the evidence. He didn't just say like we think. He was saying we have the evidence. And Rachel Maddow was going on here saying
That dude.
and that guy, he was saying that we had evidence. These are supposed to be credible news sources, and then whenever you start to see this mockingbird. The mockingbird media is the same as your mockingbird food system. It's the same. Everything is the same. It's all, CIA,
Yeah.
deep state cover going back over 150 years into our history here. And
And
this
even
is,
further, probably shady,
yes,
right?
exactly.
And it go. This whole mind control has started a long time ago, and actual size. I like that. Who can say nothing is happening anymore? You guys rock. We are the news. Actual size. You can say that again. And we're going to be learning a lot more, and that's why I keep reiterating, folks, that really open your mind, learn to understand that things that you are going to find out may not agree with what you have been told and taught, but do your own research as well. I mean, there's a lot of disinfo going on out there, so be prepared. This is a great awakening, and this is a great time to be alive. And there are so many great patriots out there fighting. Bless the teachers out here right now. iPod stopped by last week. Maybe he'll stop in again today. Praying medic. I mean, Jordan. I mean, there's so many out there. So many great patriots, Shady.
I know, and I want my hat off to every single one of them, and I consider them part of the U.S. Department of Winning as well. Matrix, don't you?
The Q Army is the United States
That
Department
is
of
our
Winning.
department.
That's our department. Yeah. And if any brilliant anon wants to design a United States Department of Winning seal, like a Q seal, if you will, let us know.
We're looking for designers. Who's a designer out there? So this is interesting, and we're gonna jump on this in just a second, Matrix. I wanted to talk about this simply because it's going to lead us into talking about the Fed for a second. But if you watched a lot of our stuff, we're talking about the one Q drop, the Hot 12 Q drop in reference to the central banks in America and the 12 branches of the American central banks, and the Hot 12 being maybe representative of those branches. And so the other day we did get this Q drop making reference back to a piece. This is a portion of that drop and pulling out Hot 8 and Hot 9. And I wanted to connect that a little bit because maybe what Q is saying has something to do. If you're paying attention this week, you guys know that the Fed came out and they made a 1/4 point rate cut. Now that would be unprecedented in our current trend because the rates have been going up. And normally if the economy is looking like this, the Fed has everyone programmed that the rates should keep going up. But the president has shown them that there is no inflation and that we are adding jobs at a miraculous rate, and there's no real reason to continue the quantitative tightening and to continue to raise rates. So with the 1/4 point cut that came out in the Fed this week, Q making references to Hot August, then references here in this post to Hot 8 and 9, connecting back to the Q post where it's in the Trust the Plan thread that someone out there will probably drop for you guys so you could dig into that, and you have to go dig into it once you get this link. But we're going to talk about that because it's relevant to the trusts. And as you guys know, the trusts were what were the backing, the massive trusts were the backing of the initial beginning of the Federal Reserve. And when you take a look at this picture here, this gives you an idea of the districts of the Federal Reserve. And right here you see the 12 districts of the Federal Reserve. So you have the big one out here on the west coast of 12, Kansas City in the middle is 10, Minneapolis 9, Dallas 10, considered 1 through 12 right here. So we have the theory that this has to do with what Q is saying with the different centers of control of all the money system in America and how they're making sure they keep the two sets of books, right? Their set of books and our set of books. They're very different. So whenever we see Q drops Hot 8 and Hot 9, we see that St. Louis is Hot 8, and we see that Minneapolis would be the number 9 district. And then we're doing a little bit of research here. You see the Minneapolis Federal Reserve News typed into Google. This is just current recent news that's been coming out in the last little bit about the different maneuverings that are going on in the Fed in the district that would be considered Hot 9. So that was kind of interesting that there's quite a number of news stories within the last couple of weeks that we really didn't necessarily see. But if you go through here on these posts, and I think I dropped this link for the guys so you can just start from there, you'll see that there's a number of stories that have to do with different things that seem to be maybe being investigated and coming to the forefront of corruption and stuff within that district. So then we talk about that district, and then being District 9, and then we talk about District 8. And here I wanted to play this. This is a 1-minute video, and we'll see. Hopefully the stream holds up for you guys to actually watch a video. But this is a 1-minute video talking about the importance of the St. Louis Federal Reserve chair.
The Federal Reserve Bank, I think, is something that's really misunderstood, or is perhaps so complicated that most of us don't really understand what the Federal Reserve does. And it does a whole bunch of things.
The idea of a national bank had been tried off and on since the days of George Washington. But after the bank panic of 1907, it was clear something better was needed to stabilize the country's banking system. So in 1913, Congress created the Federal Reserve System, which watches over local banks, lends them money, clears their checks, and makes sure they are well run. But why was St. Louis chosen to house one of the Fed's 12 branches? Backers used this chart to show St. Louis's reach.
There was more economic activity in St. Louis at that time than any of the surrounding cities because it was bigger. It was headquarters for a lot more businesses, and a lot of those businesses did business in all those other areas. So if you wanted to make it convenient and locate it in a center of high level of economic activity, it made sense to put it in St. Louis.
The St. Louis Federal Reserve Bank had several locations in its early years, but settled on its current home at Broadway and Locust in 1925.
It's really the lubricant that makes the banking system work on a day-to-day basis.
The Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis covers most of Missouri, all of Arkansas, and parts of Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky, Illinois, and Indiana, with district branches in Little Rock, Louisville, and Memphis.
Interesting, the importance of
lubricant.
It's the lubricant.
I mean, they didn't use any lubricant, guys. I tell you that right
after dark.
Yeah, no, they did not use any of that. They really did a number on this country, guys.
Yeah, and so this is going to. The president wanted the Fed to do the cut. The Fed came out and said they were going to do a quarter point. They were anticipated to announce that by the end of the year we may be up to a 3/4 point cut, but they stopped short of doing that. In my opinion, that was a little bit of their way to throw a wrench in the market to try to make it. Because what's getting ready to happen is this thing is getting ready to start cooking. This economy is getting ready to take off like a bolt of lightning, and I'm not kidding about that. It is primed and ready. I've been watching the economic news my whole life. I've never seen any setup like this. We are nowhere close to a recession. Anybody telling you that we're headed for a recession, trust me, if you have your houses out there, your houses are going to be worth more. We're going to have more wealth. We're working on getting the dollar put back on the gold standard. Trust me, things are looking up on the horizon, but we have to be able to connect things, everyone. And we're going to get into a little bit of maybe some a little bit of a history lesson here, and I want you guys to see why we understand the Federal Reserve is so important. I know it goes over real quick. Oh, I'm gonna get sidetracked. Matrix. I did see just I'll just share this with you. I just saw they were talking about the Federal Reserve and stuff on see the news and whatever, and they're making all of these comments right now in real time about anti like they don't understand. You're seeing all these people that are like, oh, I don't understand what he's doing, and they're like, oh, the tariffs, oh, the tariffs are bad, oh, the tariffs, this with the tariffs, and
even Fox News,
yes.
that Brit, whatever, not Brit, Brit Hume. The people are paying for the tariffs. The president is still making you pay for it. Everybody, I'm Brit Hume.
We got Brit in the house, everyone. I forgot to tell you, Brit Hume is joining us.
Yeah, and what Donald Trump, and I think you're going to go through it, is talking about. He knows better, guys. This guy's got a 158 IQ. He knows the art of the deal. He knows what's going on. If they're freaking out about it, it's probably because it's not good for China. I mean, I think that's what we're learning. But go ahead. I mean, he was talking about how they devalue money, and maybe you're going to go through it. I'm going to.
Yeah,
You're
right on target. But the point you're making about even Fox News not really being supportive is right in the wheelhouse of what we're seeing here. We're seeing swamp versus we the people. It's really, the swamp is the globalist deep state, the Federal Reserve, the worldwide cabal, and we're the Patriots who are aware of what's going on, the president and Q team. So this is the battlefield, but they were able to show that there's we're doing things backwards. Really, the Fed is presenting a move that is contrary to what they've done forever, and all the people are out there like, what are you doing? Why would that be what you're doing? And are you allowing the president to dictate? But the truth is what is dictating the move is the non-event. And what the Federal Reserve has to have to work as a proper control mechanism is they have to have an event every so many years to cause an economic downturn, whether that be, something like 9/11 would qualify as that, or going to war in the Middle East, or going to Vietnam, or World War II, or World War I. All of these different events, quote unquote, shape the narrative and shape what people think and shape how they can make or adjust, or corruption can overtake, or whatever they have to do. But that's kind of the moves that they're making. So with the president talking about tariffs, what he is doing is he is bringing us back to our Constitution. And our Constitution was built on tariffs. I don't care what anyone says. The tariffs are a foundation of your Constitution, an absolute foundation of our Constitution, not just a partial foundation, but the main reason that we have a country is because of tariffs. And first, we're going to jump right here to this little graphic. Tariff revenues, and this is a Wikipedia, so take it maybe with a grain of salt, but to some degree, they have stuff fairly accurate. But here you see, going way back to the very beginning of our country, 1792, an average tariff chart. Now look at this. This is very interesting. Number one, notice that up until there's no such thing as a income tax, going all the way up to 1913, and then again it changes in 1940 whenever it's like a payroll tax. So there's a difference between an income tax and a payroll tax. Okay, that's interesting to think about, and they're categorized differently. So we go back to 1792. You see 15%, 8%, 10%, 10%, 6.5%, 20% average tariff on any good brought into America. And then we move into central bank territory. Right here you see 1913. And then look at what starts to happen here. And you still have this income tax thing, which was initially for corporations, and then moved here in the 1940s around the war to your pocketbook. And then look what happens to tariffs, Matrix. The dang old tariffs just go away. And now we're down to 2010. This chart goes to 2010. Now we're back down to 1.3% in tariffs. Why is this relevant, guys? And I'm going to tell you that your president is so over the target, it's not even funny. The tariff history of the United States spans from 1789 to present. The first tariff passed by U.S. Congress acting under the then recently ratified Constitution was the tariff of 1789. Its purpose was to generate revenue for the federal government. Wait, Matrix. Its purpose was to generate revenue for the federal government. So you weren't supposed to pay for the federal government, Matrix?
Nope.
So the tariffs, okay, I'm going to read this again because I'm very confused. The tariff history of the United States spans from 1789 to present. The first tariff law passed by the U.S. Congress acting under the then recently ratified Constitution was the tariff of 1789, and its purpose was to generate revenue for the federal government, to run the government, and to pay the interest on its debt, and also to act as a protective barrier around newly starting domestic industry. An important tax set by tariff rates was collected by Treasury agents before goods could be unloaded at any U.S. port. Tariffs have historically served a key role in the nation's foreign trade policy and as a source of federal income. Tariffs were the greatest, approaching 95% at times, source of federal revenue until the federal income tax began after 1913. For well over a century, the federal government was largely financed by tariffs, averaging about 20% on foreign imports. Tariffs are now employed, among other cases, in a present trade war with China. Notice how that's been recently updated to throw that in there to kind of give you a little bit of a kicker right now that your president's doing something wrong. Let me tell you something, guys. The reason that you're paying an income tax is because of this graph right here. So if you're confused about what your country meant, unfortunately for the deep state, it does say in your Constitution there shall be no taxing of the people. And I'm pretty sure you're a person until around this 1913 time, whenever they somehow convinced everybody that they were a corporation and they started printing your name in all capital letters, putting on birth certificates, stamping it in hospitals, sending it around, and then they've spent 100 years trying to convince you of that. And now here you are, a servitude/debt slave to the same system of government that says that it frees you.
Hey, Shady, how do you define person? You guys are all sheep.
Bill Clinton's trying to keep you in the pen out there, guys.
Don't pay attention to what this guy's saying. He's a shill.
Listen to me.
He's a shill. My wife doesn't want Matrix on Twitter either.
No,
they're all shills. They're shills, and they work. The shills work for us that want to get Shady and Matrix off Twitter and YouTube. They actually work for us, guys, just so you know.
The old agent, Mr. Clinton, making a little appearance because he knows how nervous he is. And the reason he's nervous is because there's 500 plus people on here coming to this conversation. And what tariffs mean to you is your wealth, okay? This is what the switcheroo was. The big switcheroo that's called the Federal Reserve that they don't want to tell you about is an independent entity, so it is not connected to your treasury. The president consistently says that we're bringing wealth back to the treasury. He's talking about your pocketbook. Matrix and I have said it over and over again. He is not saying we're bringing it back to my pocketbook. We're bringing it back to the treasury. All of these tariffs that are currently going, you are seeing the president of the United States building a concurrent parallel economy. We have a parallel economy being built. The way that they took gold away from you was by building a parallel economy that they shifted over to the petrodollar completely in the early 70s, but they were working on it for about 60 plus years. They were working on a parallel economy so that whenever they switched, what really backed the economy was not gold, it was not your bills in circulation, that at that point said on the bill, this note is redeemable for the accurate amount in gold and silver coin. No longer has that promise on it. There's a reason that promise was removed. It was removed by the Federal Reserve, and it was removed at the same moment they started charging you a payroll tax or an income tax. And I could even go a step further and tell you that, believe it or not, whenever you get a form from your employer at the end of the year and it says on their wages, tips, etc., well, that ain't income. It ain't income until you take that and you fill out this other form over here that says income for the year, and then you claim income, and then you say, I am submitting to this tax. We are all volunteers to submit to the tax to pay the interest of the debt the Federal Reserve runs up, which is now bordering on $22 trillion, that the head of the cabal, who we're all working on taking down, used in a trust to enslave you, says you owe them. And call me crazy, but I don't think that we're going to make good on those payments. I think that we're going to build a parallel economy that's running right next to it, and we're going to take all this money from China and all of these tariffs that we're collecting now, and we're going to go back to this little nice fun system of government right here. And it says something really nice and simple. I love the way it says this. The first tariffs of 1789, the purpose was to create and generate revenue for the federal government to run the government and pay the interest on its debt. Tariffs are the key. Tariffs are important. The United States Constitution gives Congress the power to impose and collect taxes, tariffs, duties, and the like, and to regulate international commerce. While the Constitution gives the President authority to negotiate international agreements, it assigns him no specific power over international commerce and trade. Through legislation, however, Congress may delegate some of its power to the President. So what you've seen go on is you've seen a huge push for Congress to give the President the power over the trade, because the president was the one who could control it, and they thought they would always have the president under control. They thought you would never lose, such as the power to modify tariffs under certain circumstances. Thus, because the president does not possess express constitutional authority to modify tariffs, he must find authority for tariffs-related action in statute. Prior to the 1930s, Congress itself usually set tariff rates for imported products over time. However, Congress increasingly delegated authority to the president to reduce tariffs, subject to statutorily prescribed time periods, periodic review, and renewal. As the focus of international trade negotiations shifted from the imposition of tariffs to other non-tariff barriers to trade, such as anti-dumping duties. However, Congress was less inclined to authorize the president to implement such measures by presidential proclamation. Instead, Congress provided for legislative implementation of international trade agreements under an expedited procedure so long as certain criteria were met. Over the past few decades, Congress has continued to enact various provisions governing the negotiation and implementation of trade agreements, but has not delegated to the president a general authority to modify tariff rates. Now look at what you're seeing happening right now. You're seeing the president take the reins of a situation where he has been given the power to be a good steward. That's what he's doing. He could do whatever he wanted. He's being a good steward because he's telling China that you're going to have to pay taxes. And it's not that much different whenever you look back at your history here, everyone, of the tariffs that were paid on any goods throughout history. At one point up to 44%, going way up there. And then as soon as we started collecting interest from the people, the tariffs went away. So this is how your money was stolen, because they started charging you to run the federal government. What's supposed to run your federal government are the taxes on people who import things here. That is the way your Constitution was designed, therefore creating a quote-unquote sustainable economy, a conservative form of government, a republic, if you will. Something that stands alone on its own and isn't beholden to contracts and deep states and bankers and da-da-da-da. The only reason you get beholden, just the same as, it's no different than owing your neighbor money. If you owe your neighbor $1,000 because you borrowed it a month ago, he might want it. What's the difference? Whenever you have someone who you're doing business with paying, then all of a sudden, why do we need to pay? Who are we paying? Well, wait a minute. The IRS is the law enforcement arm of the Federal Reserve, which is not even part of my government, and they're running around screaming and yelling at me and telling me what I have to do and what I have to pay, and that I have to get health insurance, and that they're somehow controlling me, and I'm obligated. I'm telling you, the IRS doesn't draw any power from the Constitution. It doesn't exist. And if you want to go back and look at the ratification for all this baloney that went on back then, you can't find where it actually passed either. The narrative goes far and deep. Titles of nobility. No one with the title of nobility was supposed to hold office. That includes a lawyer, guys. So lawyers aren't supposed to be judges. Lawyers aren't supposed to be anything in your government. They're supposed to be outside of that. They're supposed to be the citizenry. It's supposed to be people like you. It's supposed to be people like Donald Trump. And the point of Q and the point of Donald Trump, I think, is to start getting us to recognize that empty suits. I've got a very short fuse for the empty suit after watching Donald Trump. That man is not an empty suit. That man is a human being that cares about us. And why in the world can there not be other human beings that care about us walking around in suits? They're out there. We got to find them, and we got to get them elected. Not necessarily, they're not going to come running, but a lot of you, maybe there's some right out there right now. Maybe there's some out there with us right now. Some of those people, they're going to stand up one day and say, you know what? I'm tired of the corruption. I'm tired of it. I don't want to see it. I'm tired of looking at it. There's no reason that we have to take it. I believe in my Constitution. I believe in my Constitution. It's not rocket science. It's a very simple to understand document that was left for us many, many years ago. And on some level, I'm going to say that it was left for us in a way that was moved and not intentionally supposed to succeed. I'll say it. I'm not sure they thought it would succeed. There's some really not good stuff whenever you dig into the history of some of the founding fathers. Okay? Whatever they were setting up, guys, you're out there right now and you're fighting for the freedom. You're fighting for the liberty, and you're fighting for your children's life. And you recognize that something happened in America, and our current generation is not better off than the last generation. And that's a problem. It's a big problem whenever we drive through our major cities in America and we see this mess. And when I mean mess, I mean homeless people who think they have no place in this world whenever there are jobs out there. There is an economy out there, but they're being lied to. They're being told that they're no good. They're being told that they can't.
So Shady, let me get this straight. So there are people like in Baltimore and California and big cities that can't house people that are in their own city, but they want all these people to come in over our border
and come to their city and be a sanctuary city.
There are Americans that need help and they don't care about them, but they want people to come in to our border and into our country.
That's 100% what's going on, man. It's 110% what's going on.
If you can't take care of what you got, why you want to bring on more?
Exactly.
I mean, it's really that simple, guys.
And everything that you see on the news media, whether they're talking about these people's rights or those people's rights, or they're talking about the Democratic nomination, they're talking about all of this really fluff stuff. You're not seeing anyone who is the, quote unquote clown media even pretending anymore like they have a stake in the game for you. They don't care. They do not want America to succeed. Their whole agenda is taking them 150 plus years to get to degrade it this much, and they still haven't been able to do it. And think about that. We still hold them off. Remember, I said earlier in the show, we have them on defense. We are pushing into their territory. Whenever we go as warriors into the dreamscape now, we are attacking them. They are not coming after us any longer. There is a real war out there that's not represented in the physical existence that you see every day. By any means. It's huge. And it isn't a small conversation. And the way that this country stands apart from so much other has to do with the structure of it. And the structure of this is Article 1, Section 9. Part of the structure is this very, very important idea that we can fund our government 110% off of tariffs. And if I can tell you as an American, hey, I'm funding the government off of tariffs, dun, 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 what's going to be your first question? You're going to say, wait a minute. If you're funding the government off of tariffs, excuse me, what is this 1099 thing? Slur, hello, hey, why am I paying interest on a debt that's this whenever my country is solvent? Because it is paying for itself off of the tariffs for the imported goods that people want to sell to us. Not that we're, do you feel privileged, Matrix, that we get to buy Chinese stuff? Is that a privilege?
Oh, I mean, it's not rocket science, right? I mean, they try to make it all confusing. If there's a factory right in an inner city, like they asked me, hey, do you want to give to the city of Baltimore? What, are we building a factory there so people can have jobs and have some sense of pride? And, let's say they're going to make widgets. And there's another city, 10 miles down, and they make widgets. And the people that make the widgets can buy the widgets from the other widget factory. People that make brooms can buy TVs from people that make TVs, and TV people can buy refrigerators that make. I mean, this is how it's supposed to work. It's how it worked, at least toward the end when I was growing up. People had jobs. People worked at companies like in Geneva, Illinois. There was a company called Burgess Norton that made Harley parts that are all now made in China, and they can't send their kids to college anymore. Mm-hmm. We're reluctant on the system. Mm-hmm. We have eliminated so many jobs, mm-hmm. and they had a sense of pride and shitty. They had a house. My friends had a house. They had a car. He had a big truck because he liked to do it because he could afford it because he was making money. It's not rocket science, folks.
And it's easy to see whenever you look at the statistics and you look at the economy, and then you see one thing that also the Google has started manipulating search results for the Federal Reserve. So Google now has taken away anyone's ability to find information, quote unquote, on YouTube. And I say Google, I meant YouTube. Has censored. There was a story that came out, and I didn't actually get it up here. That was one of the things that just came back across my mind that I forgot to get it pulled up. But that they've now censored information about the Federal Reserve on Google, so that because of a mainstream, it was Chris Hayes. If you guys are out there, Chris Hayes from MSNBC tweeted just the other day about the Federal Reserve and how could anyone who goes to YouTube to find out about the Federal Reserve can only find this video, which has 1.6 million views, and it was a video explaining exactly what we're talking about right here, the creature from Jekyll Island, what the Federal Reserve really is. And then he went on in his tweet to explain how the Federal Reserve isn't what's in that video, and to drive the clown narrative one more notch to make sure you don't go looking for yourself to see the actual information. So if Google thinks that the Federal Reserve issue is so misunderstood that they've got to take away all the information that reflects this is what they're taking away from you. They're taking away things that connect you right here to the Constitution, do exactly what we were just talking about. They don't want you to see this. They don't want you to know what Article 1, Section 9 means about tariffs. They don't want you to know. Because why? Because they're on China's side. China's side. China's a bloodline. They're the bloodline families. They're the same thing. North Korea controlled. Same thing.
The Lee family of China.
All the same. All have the stuff in the same trust. China was nothing, guys. China was nothing. 50, even less than that, 40 years ago, there was literally no buildings there. It was a third world country. What happened? I'll tell you what happened. You worked and built China, and they pretended like they did it, and it was all this big illusion. Now what's happening? We're going to start charging China some of that money back. They're going to start to fall. The president came out saying they are manipulating their currency. There's not been one president, not Bill Clinton, not President Bush, or Barack Obama, either of the three, would agree to the statement that China is manipulating their currency and attacking us in an unfair economic way since they entered the WTO, and we are capitulating to all of these climate change rules, and China has 20 years before they have to even begin to adhere to the restrictions. Look at the head run they were giving them. They were going to destroy us. There's no other logical explanation. So with this information, I want you guys to start talking about your president and why he's smart. And the reason that he's smart is because he understands the dadgum Constitution, because he sees what it is that's important, and he recognizes that we can create a parallel economy once we start putting the dollar back on the gold standard and we start inserting this idea that the money is worth something again. We're making an economy that currently we're taking it off of oil. Oil is backing the dollar right now. Oil based in Iran and Saudi Arabia and other parts of the world, believe it or not, are backing the dollar. And that's the way that it has been manipulated. We're going to make gold back the dollar, and then we're going to start collecting tariffs that start coming in and funding our government. And in about a year from now, you're going to start seeing these tariffs roll in from overseas, from Mexico, from Canada. You're going to see companies start coming back to America in droves and hiring people by the thousands. Then what you're going to see is an explosion of wealth like the world has never seen. It's going to be what we saw in the beginning of America before the central banks times 1,000. It's going to be unreal. I'm just telling you right now, this future is absolutely amazing for all of us. Your money is going to be worth something again, and your government is going to be funded by what people send here to sell us, and we're going to be fair with them, and we're going to allow people that we sell stuff to charge us a little bit. Then we start to balance. Then we find unilateral trade. Every clown on TV will tell you that the president can't do unilateral trade. Your Constitution says only do unilateral trade. It's the government dealing with the country one-on-one, not anything else, not the government of Mexico, United States, and Canada cooperating and acting in unison. Whenever the rules regarding firearms in Canada and Mexico are quite different than here, but we can act in unison about what products we can and can't manufacture. It's just laughable. It's completely laughable. So the importance of all of you guys, and the importance of what we're looking at, and the idea that this whole maneuver, this whole game that we're playing, and that is what you're seeing, the show, is a show to generate real, honest outrage. And whenever Q said the other day in that Q post, and I made it the name of the show tonight, that this is going to be biblical, I don't think that was an understatement. And to show you the post exactly right here, Q sent us to this Twitter account, sent anons right to the source, all roads leading to Rome. What is it? The Pope says, "Let us pray that the Lord will free the victims of human trafficking and help us to respond actively to the cry for help of so many of our brothers and sisters who are deprived of their dignity and freedom." And the virtue signaling never ends with this. Q says, Godfather 3, it's going to be biblical. Q, the Holy See, all roads lead to Rome, admiralty, maritime law, the ship. Who are you? In law, what do you represent? You are not of that. You are not of that structure of government. You are a man of God. You are flesh and blood. You are not a contract. You are not an instrument. You are a human being. They will not be able to turn us into robots. That is exactly what they are attempting to do, everyone. They are attempting to control the narrative and to turn humanity into a singular gendered, transhumanist, robotic, mindless, functioning slave race. And it's not very much more complicated than that. That's exactly what they're trying to do to you. They are not trying to tell you that there's 28 different genders.
Yeah, shady too, and that it's going to be biblical. And Godfather 3, if you haven't watched Godfather 3 yet or read a really good what it's about, it's a very interesting movie. It's about the Pope. It's about the mafia and the mob going in there trying to launder money and take things over. And it's very interesting. And there was a quote too that I really quick wanted to just kind of go over real quick. In there, in The Godfather 3, it basically says, um, all our ships must sail in the same direction.
Boom.
And that, in my opinion, is, where we go one, we go wall two. Because if I'm going to give you the helm, all of our ships must sail in the same direction as part of the movie. But it also could be going into admiralty law, because that still governs many commercial activities. Right? Many of these laws are contradiction to what we want for our natural laws, our constitutional laws, our God-given rights. And this said, where's the rest of the fleet of vessels on the current seas, or is that currencies? Either way, it's flowing through the banks, guys. And that's why the Trump has that executive order to bring all this corruption back into our treasury so we can get back. And Shady made an interesting comment the other night about how what you're seeing is a correction so we can get to a gold standard, guys.
That's what I kind of see. Yeah. I mean, that really does seem the only thing that makes sense is that there has to be this space in there, and there also has to be a level of secrecy going on with it as well. Someone not getting the hint too early, because we're moving around some nefarious characters who really have a lot to lose. I mean, they have, let me tell you, on the surface they have 22 trillion to lose. I mean, they're getting ready to lose 22 trillion. We're not paying them that. So, we could easily just transfer it.
Scot-free.
We're just scot-free. We're not paying the cabal 22 trillion to enslave us for 100 years. I'm sorry. We're going to kind of just let you ride on that. And we're going to work on trying to find what else it is you got buried out there that you're pretending like doesn't exist, so that we feel like we have some obligation to pay you this pittance over here whenever you actually have, a few thousand trillion in assets spread out around the world that nobody knows about. It's not going to be easy, but it has to be talked about. And the tonight's Q Lounge Live, everyone, was about showing you why your president is talking about tariffs. It's about showing you what it is that we as Anons are supposed to be, and the stewardship that Matrix and I and many other of these guys on the wall out here have taken up the sword of truth, and to stand in that idea that the truth is that, and it's not emotional. We go where the facts go, and we don't let our minds or our preconceived notions or our preconceived beliefs or our structure within us to dictate where the rabbit hole leads. If we were to do that, then we would be right back where we started, which is in your own thought form and your own echo chamber. The only way we get out of the echo chamber is to be loud, be heard, and be proud. And that's what Q has told us to do. And this is a monumental moment in history for all of us. And for anyone out there who may be new to Q, I would like to say that if you have an interest in going back and to look at what was happening last year, Matrix and I and the Pacers and all this information that we've brought to forth, you can see from June until we started the Matrix Groove Hour in February, pretty much a week recap with looking at his Twitter threads and my Truth for Freedom YouTube and the Q Lounge Lives that we did last year in time, and see we've painted a picture, we've painted a documentary of what happened and how it went down and what was the misinformation and how people were being told misinformation and how the deep state was working against the boards, and then how we were all usurped and attacked, and then how they tried, as soon as we found out what it was we thought we should be chasing, which was the bloodlines, everything changed in the Anon world, and we were kind of like told that we shouldn't be talking about that in a not so nice way by many, many people out there claiming to be Q POTUS friendly MAGA. It's a big story. And the reason that they acted in this way is because it's important. The reason that they acted in this way is because your republic depends on it. Your republic depended on people using their voices and standing up and being stewards for her. Her. America. Her. Liberty, freedom, justice, truth, light, honor. Her. That's what we stand up for. That's who we really are. None of us are coming to this conversation lightly. None of us meant this as a joke. It's real. The war is real. I'm going to play some JT Wild here, guys. Sit back for a minute. Feel the fight. JT Wild.
The Q Army. And everybody that's donated to the Mike Flynn Defense Fund. And bought the book Field of Fight. This is called Field of Fight. Looking across the desert, stone, dust, and blood, praying for an answer to the good Lord up above. How can just one man be the shelter from the storm, knowing that the real war has only just begun? Well, he's a soldier with a heart of stone. He dreams of finally coming home. A warrior with an eagle's might. He runs across the desert night and he lays his own body down in this field of fight. Fall without a question will be redeemed. Their sacrifice will not be in vain. 'Cause the man that led them strong, he still remains. Tell his soldier story, make it right again. Well, he's a soldier with a heart of stone, dreams of finally coming home. Warrior with an eagle's might. He runs across the desert night and he lays his own body down on this field of fight. Yeah, this field of fight. And after 33 years of kicking, gnashing, taking flames, he's looking at a country he helped save. He's a soldier with a heart of gold. Now he's finally coming home. A hero with a general's might. He surfs across the ocean night and he laid his own body down on that field of fight. A field of fight, yeah. Yeah, we all lay our bodies down on this field of fight.
And that's what I've seen.
Where we go one, we go all. JT Wild.
So many of you Anons, so many of you Anons have done exactly that. You have laid your bodies down for this fight. You have stood up. You have answered the call. You have said, America means something to me. You said, she means something to me, and I'm going to stand up for it. And right there, if that song doesn't get you where it needs to get you, then nothing's gonna. That's what it's all about. 5-5, Anons, across the board, in every heart and mind of every patriot on planet Earth. I'm not talking about just America. I'm talking about planet Earth. I'm talking about a much larger conversation that we're getting ready to have. We're getting ready to teach the world freedom. This is not about freeing America. It's going to be good. This is about teaching the world how to act in freedom. Teaching the world about their power against the establishment. Teaching people what it means to be represented by a government that can sustain itself without corruption. We can use this moment to amplify that message and say to the world, we're coming. We're coming. We're going to take care of our house a few minutes here. Give us a minute to gather up and take care of our house. Just a minute. And trust me, we're coming. And it's going to happen. Keep that flame lit, Anons. Sea to shining sea. Hong Kong, we stand with you. Korea, we stand with you. Japan, we stand with you. We stand with Anons in Iran, Africa, worldwide, Europe, Canada, Mexico, Asia. We stand with you. Freedom. Use your voice. Listen to the call. Hear that we are the ones that we were waiting for. Guys, that's about all I've got for you tonight, but I sure do love being here. Matrix, man, this is an incredible audience. You've been out there with them. How are they? Are they a really great group out there tonight or what? What's going on?
They were singing. And he laid his own body down. Oh man, geez, JT Wild. And that song, oh, it's not ready. Oh, it is ready. That is an amazing song. JT Wild, we love you. Everybody out there, you guys have been amazing. It's great. People are finally realizing the Patriot spell is over because we do live where? Where do we live? Do we
America.
live in China, guys? Oh, America. Oh,
Yes.
it's okay to make money.
Yes, sir.
And do things and not like anybody's making a killing, but we're able to do this every day. And we thank you very much. We've got t-shirts. If you want something for it, we got some really cool designs. We got a red pill Q, like a Rolling Stones, reminiscent of a Rolling Stone shirt with a red Q on the tongue. We've got another one that it just has in the Matrix. We've got the Q and POTUS. And just if you guys want something cool, there's beach towels. There's Kevin, love you both, love you. United States of Q, love you. And I saw Sandy White out there a couple times. Love you guys so much. We can't do this without you. And Shady, what a great show tonight. You were on point as usual. Caitlin and Alexander says, love you both, and we love you. Tom Manley, we love America. Heck yeah, we do. There's a lot of spells that have been placed on us Anons on the boards by the CIA is here prey, and we are not falling prey to their garbage. Guys, this is you saw the social media summit. They were talking about censorship is hurting people's revenues.
Sure
are they
were.
Patriots too now?
That's exactly what they were.
It starts trying to think logically. Okay, people that are talking bad about other patriots are not patriots. Okay, there are a lot of people that talk bad about us. Gee, I wonder why. Could we be over the target? I don't know. So guys, if you guys want something cool, there's the beach towels, just your typical regular Q with the Q on fire on the back too, Q POTUS, United States of America, right? The red pill one. There's beach towels. There's every single size and style you want for men, women, and children, and coffee cups and iPhone stuff and posters and whatever you guys want, it's there. I want to give you guys something for, to be proud of and to spark the conversation out there, Shady.
Yes, sir.
And
That's
thank you guys
exactly
all.
right. Yep. And to be loud and be proud and be heard is to show your allegiance to our president in public and have, I was watching a little bit at the rally they were going through outside. I did see the couple with the Q baby who did make it to the Cincinnati rally. They were there. And then there was another gentleman who had his stuff set up, and he said that he had been he had his RV, and he had a lot of flags. He actually had a "Don't Tread on Me" flag and a couple other that maybe not where we go when we go all flags were kind of similar. And he said that the night before,
Stepe on Pepe.
Yeah, he said the night before that he was camped outside of Trump Tower there in downtown Manhattan, and he had a Secret Service came by and said that Don Jr. saw his van down there and wanted to come down and have a moment and talk to him for a little bit. So it's pretty cool the way that these guys are connected to all of us.
We had I-70 out there too. He was actually interviewed, and he's on POTUS's Twitter.
We're gonna have to show that on Monday.
Yeah, we might have him on for a quick
moment.
Let's
get him on there.
Yeah, he was interviewed by Fox News and Right Side Broadcasting, and he actually made POTUS's Twitter from pictures of the rally. So congratulations, I-70. I think he's doing his own show right about now. I'm not sure, but what a great guy. And, we got to support people that are actually out there getting the word out, and that's what we're all about, guys. Get the word out. Go red pill 3 people this weekend, guys, and tell me Monday how it went, okay?
You
Press
heard
17 if message received. All right, 17 red pill 3 people in your real life, and let me know how it goes. 17. JD, thank you.
Matrix, thank you so much, man. Guys, please, if you can, go support us at the show. We also have a Patreon and a snail mail. This is Patriots Supported Radio. This is information that you guys looking for. We want to bring it to you. This has been a journey like no other. We are going to be back next week on Monday at 1300 hours. Look for us on the Matrix Groove Hour. Again, Matrix, thank you so much. Thank you to all the great, wonderful Anons out there. Thank you to all of the voices who've come to Q. Thank you for all the Patriots who are standing up, and thanks to all the world, because you care too, and you're seeing part of stuff that we don't even see here, because you are noting that this president is something different. He is not like the rest of them. He has something special, and he is sharing it with all of you. So with that, guys, I want for all of you to please feel free to come down and post comments in the YouTube videos below here. Start a conversation with somebody. If they are asking a question and you can answer, please don't hesitate to get down there and answer. And if not, maybe you could point them in the direction of one of us, because maybe we can. We got some unbelievable moderators out there that have been bringing you pain for months and months on end. Unrelenting pain that they bring right here in this YouTube chat to be ingrained forever. Documentation of what we're talking about, who we're chasing, who these people are, because this is what we are doing. We are here to spread the notion that there is a clear line between the truth and the lie. The truth is that you are the global elite. The lie is that they are the global elite. The truth is that you are the ones who adore freedom. You're the ones that stand for liberty. You're the ones that know that honor and light exist only in the air of truth. We have found each other. Be good stewards, Anon. Take this message to people. Be loud, be proud, be heard. Stand in your power. This is not over. Give some love to all the great moderators out there. And with that, guys, I'm going to jump out of here, and we will see you on Monday at 1300 hours on the Matrix Groove Hour. With that, everyone, good night.
When I pull up out front, see the Benz on dub. When I roll 20 deep, so it's